Thank you, Sheena.
The condo market has been pretty slow.
Oh, whatever happened to that issue about the I don't even remember what it's called.
Yeah, the additional disclosure form that the lenders require to get signed. So the LO ended up they found an underwriting loophole that they'll just take the emails and essentially they just ask the questions in an email format. They responded via email, attached that to the form, and that was sufficient for the underwriters.
So is that what everyone's pretty much doing now?
Not all lenders and underwriters have, put this in place. A lot have, but not all. And so now that we know that that's a solution and that somebody has done it, now we can present that when it comes into play.
So it's mainly just slowing because probably the cost of money is going up.
Yeah, I don't think that the condo market, at least here locally in Hawaii, stalled because of that. I think it was a hurdle, it was a scary little bump, but I don't think it necessarily slowed anything down. I just think the interest rates had a big impact, for our condo market here.
Yep. Well, and our the interest rates for even hard money, even on the short-term bridge loans for fix and flip is going up. They're predicting that like the standard fix and flip loans may start to, by the end of the year, might be at 10% on the low end. So just a heads up, if your lender's tied to the capital markets, the cost is probably going to go up. And most lenders are tied to the capital markets in some fashion. So just be prepared. Proceed with caution.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's gonna get fun. Buckle up, everybody.
Steve will jump in a few minutes and as a lender, he'll give
good.
us his take too.
Perfect. Well, does anybody have any needs, leads, good deeds to talk about? Kevin Albart, I don't know if you're able to speak, but I think you had some deal that you're working on, right?
Yes, I'm working on a deal now at Beach. And I'm always looking for electricians and plumbers if anybody wants to recommend some. I'm taking bids right now for a plumber. So if you have a good plumber in mind, I'd
what type of work is it going to be to redo some lines or run electrical throughout the whole house? Or
well, the need I have right now is the plumbing. I'm looking at a couple different plumbers, but I have to have them come in and rerun some lines and install a new hot water heater.
Okay. Nice. Well, if anybody has any recommendations for Kevin, please reach out to him. Kevin, I don't know if you want to drop your info in the chat too, but feel free. And if you guys don't know Kevin, you probably want to. He manages a lot of private money, and so if anybody has projects and needs gap funding, he's the guy to call. Here in Hawaii, right, Kevin?
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
Well, what kind of terms are some of your lenders looking to get?
Well, what we do is we lend private money at 12% plus 1.5 points.
Nice.
Any particular products, single family, multifamilies, hotels?
We do single family, condos, even ground up construction. But like Corey said, in Hawaii, we stay pretty much in Hawaii.
Perfect.
And unoccupied. That's another one.
Unoccupied.
Yeah, so some people who want to do a BRRRR, they would have to pay off our loan before they get it occupied.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
And you'll lend in first or in the gap, right?
And that's right. Yeah, we'll lend the gap.
So do you have any more money for people?
Actually, right now, we just funded a bunch of deals, so
So
we're kind of low right now, but you know, money comes and goes all the
that's what I
time.
was saying, guys. You gotta know Kevin.
Money comes and goes all the time, so even if I don't have money today, we might have money tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
I say that all the time too, but I've got teenagers, so that's what happens in my house. Money comes and then it goes, and then every
Just
once in a while
like
it shows back up.
Kevin, how quickly can you close? Because that's been a big issue recently with a bunch of lenders.
Oh, with us, we're faster than most. We can, if our private lender has the money, we can move fast.
You don't require appraisals, right? On first position.
We don't. So, like I was joking
True
with
private money.
Corey's hard money. That's harder. We're private money, which is easy money, but that don't mean we don't do our due diligence. But we are a lot easier, I think, to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you don't need to do a appraisal, that's huge because that's taking forever these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just funded our Kailua project with you guys with Keiko, and it was, I think we had to wait an extra like two weeks for the appraisal. So I mean, it was kind of in a rush situation. So luckily, you know, talking to Scott and your guys' team, it just took a lot longer than we expected, and the guy really needed the money right away. So it's good to have that option.
Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely. And hey guys, real quick, if I could add one thing, we're looking for appraisers. So
Oh, yes,
if anyone is utilizing anybody to do appraisals on any of the islands, we would love for their input, their name, so we can reach out and see if we can get them onboarded with any of the AMCs we're using right now.
Yeah, that'll be huge for us. If you guys know any appraisers, they gotta have the capacity because we're busy. But if they do, we'd love to, you know, see if we can work with them. What Zasha was talking about, because we did a post-close, right, Zasha, on yours? Post-close appraisal?
No,
No?
we had to wait
Oh,
for
okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh, we have to wait for it? Okay. So we are kind of testing another strategy where it's going to be a little bit more risky for us, where we'll get the appraisal after closing. But if the appraisal comes in, you know, far below what we expected, then it causes us and our capital partners a big problem, you know, so they're testing it right now. Cross your fingers that it works out, because if so, like, we can close within 5 to 10 days after we have a value, you know, a set value, that whether it's an appraisal or something else that we're working on. So that's been a big problem industry wide, actually. But I think the industry has been shifting fairly quicker than I thought. Even Fannie Mae is using a different process, but they are moving away from appraisals because of this that's going on. So
When two of my flips that are on the market now got pushed back a couple weeks because the same thing, they couldn't get an appraiser out there. So there's even switching appraisers and trying to, same thing you guys are going through.
yeah, even on the retail side, right? Because the retail side is not as bad because the appraisers just have to get the as is value. For deals like Zasha's and everybody, our deals, right? They have to do typically the as is value and the as improved value. So, and it takes a little bit more number crunching skills to and experience to do that type of appraisal. So more specifically, we're looking for appraisers that can do the as is value and look at a scope of work and do the after repair value as well. So, but if anybody has anybody, please, yes, send them over.
One idea, not just for Zasha, but for everybody, if you're getting into a position where you're using private money and you have a good relationship with them, and they're not necessarily a big private lender, but you can actually get in touch with some of the owners. If you're in a situation where the appraisal's not coming in quick enough and you need to close because the seller's he has a 1031 or they've got some sort of massive deadline, you can try to negotiate with them to say, hey, since we're going to have rehab funds, let's go ahead and close without the appraisal, do a post-closing appraisal with an addendum that states any deficit in the appraisal amount we will claw at the rehab budget. So that way that 100,000 rehab budget now becomes 70,000 because there's a $30,000 appraisal deficit. And so that may, it's worked for us on a couple situations. So that could be one option as a Hail Mary, just an idea.
Nice one. Does anybody have anything else that they're working on? Need help?
I have a couple things. I have somebody who messaged me that I know well who's looking to, they have 60,000, but they want to place it. They want to invest. So I know it's below some people's minimum, but if they're looking for a lender, just send me a message and I can connect you guys. We have a vacant lot that's coming on market in Kaava, 23,000 square feet, zoned R5, most steep slope, right across from the ocean. So it's right on Cam Highway. That is incredible views. And that's, you can build 2 single family homes, 2 decent sized single family homes, or really, really large duplex. Minor SMA, it's going to be priced at least to this investor network, into our investment network, below tax value, which I think would be, I think tax values at
Or is this the
530,000.
coffee talk discount?
Yeah, coffee tax discount.
I like that.
Coffee
Thank you.
special, we like it.
Sponsored by Ashley. Oahu Lunch.
Does it have beach access or just a view?
So if you're familiar with Kaava and Crouching Lion, it's right next door to Crouching Lion before the bend. And it is literally, you walk across the street and you can go, it's not sandy beach, but it's snorkeling beach, it's spearfishing, there's a surf break out there. And then you have Kahana Bay, so it's camping. You've got the hike, the Crouching Lion hike right behind the house. Crouching Lion is for sale, so that won't be open for a bed and breakfast. But whoever does eventually buy that will increase the value of the lot exponentially, because as soon as you get food right there, it'll be great.
Crouching Lions for sale?
Yeah, well, it's not off market, but yeah, they ran into, well, that's just a crazy story. What I heard was they bought it for like under 2 mil. Then they made it gorgeous. I think it was supposed to be like a chapel for Japanese weddings and a bed and breakfast. I think I don't know for sure. I've been trying to figure out the information on it because I wanted to see if it was going to be valuable for the resale value on these listings. And anyways, come to find out, it's back for sale. I think it's at 8 million, 9 million. I have to go and verify. And they couldn't get the permits, and they booked like 200-300 Japanese weddings, and they had to renege, and they're just like crazy. So they're trying to probably recoup some costs and sell it, but they're maintaining it, so it looks nice.
I may have a buyer. Can you get info and then send it to me?
I will definitely. I'll pull up the CoStar sheet for you and send it over.
Perfect. And then on the Kaava, is that so zoned such a way you could do a duplex? So could you do short-term rentals?
So you can actually do 2 single families, just smaller, or a massive duplex. So short-term rentals, they're just passed. I mean, they have one more committee. I don't know if it was last Wednesday or coming up this Wednesday for Bill 41, which is essentially they're changing the 30-day short-term rental to 90-day. So no, at least for advertising on platforms, people are getting around it by just renting it out every 3 months now for higher premiums. But that side of the island is its own animal. So I know, and I have clients who are doing their thing that I do not
It's
know
off,
the details of.
that side of the island is off record, no matter how you look at it. So that's interesting. So what's the pricing about?
So tax records is 530. I think the agreed upon offer price for here is 500, even maybe a little bit more negotiation room there. And once we go live, we're going to go live. I think 490. I think 490 coffee talk for our investors.
That's half an acre.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
And you only can build because you have a slope to it. So that side's all, it's steep. So you have a slope to it. Then you have a nice, semi-level portion. And then you've got the steep slope right behind it, the Crouching Lion hike right behind it. So the views are insane. You do have some usable space right there that gives you some landing to operate on. So you won't be able to use the whole 23,000 square feet, but you can use a good chunk.
anybody's interested, reach out to Ashley. That seems like a pretty good value overall. Half an acre for under 500 grand.
The
Views.
purpose was to be very, like, to offer it here to this network to get it fast before having to go live. But yeah, otherwise it's gonna be listed at 530 or 550, I think.
Will you email me that one too?
Yes.
That'd be-
And then one more is I have a dear client of mine who's looking for investors for his cannabis business. He's already well established in Colorado and he's looking to raise capital. The minimum is 120,000. He's looking to raise a total of 1.2 million. So the minimum buy-in, you get 40, every 40K gives you 1 share of the company if you want ownership. It's 3 share minimum, so 120K minimum buy-in. And if you want to and can fund the whole 1.2 million, it's 30% of the company. That's as much as I know of the pitch. Solid guy. He, again, already has it established in Colorado. He's expanding to New Mexico. So if anyone's interested or knows people who are interested in that space, let me know and I can connect you guys as well.
Is there Coffee Talk discount on that one?
No Coffee Talk discount, just opportunity.
Okay. I was gonna ask. You know.
It's a really good
Corey
opportunity.
Corey just like the discount, not on the investment, but on the product. That's what he's asking.
I mean, it's really, really a good opportunity because I think in the first year, they're like projected to make like 3 million. So it's a good opportunity for sure.
Well, thank you for the discount on the other one.
Yes, we like them discounts. James Chun's interested. James Chun's also a
Yeah,
minister.
James.
He's a wedding minister. That'd be perfect, James. We'll
That'd be
go in on the
perfect.
wedding. You take the event center. We'll take the hotel operations.
Okay, I'll send you the crouch. So you're interested in
Oh, this
crouching
is my
lion or
new
you're
box.
interested in vacant lot?
I think James is probably interested in the whole crouching lion.
Okay, and Greg Porter, he actually just joined Oahu Lux Homes. So
Yeah, great.
we have Greg on the team and he's connected. He just knows everything and everybody.
Greg knows a lot of people. Awesome. Well, thank you for the discount. Hopefully, there's someone out there like
Dante's interested in Pakalolo. Or I mean cannabis.
Dante.
Business.
A business. That's what I forgot to say.
Well, perfect. Thank you. I like her. She's smart.
Hey, don't be talking weird stuff on the coffee talk.
Oh,
man.
sorry.
You guys, what you guys do at home is just let's keep it professional. I just kidding. Ashley's awesome. This is great. Now, if anybody else ever has, like Ashley just did, you know of a deal, you got a deal, you heard of a deal, you see a deal kind of on the works, like it's off market, like Crouching Lion, but seems like there could be an opportunity. Yeah, bring it to the coffee talk because it's a really cool networking opportunity. So Dante, we just need your email address. James, if you want to drop yours in there as well. And then Ashley will get out a bunch of stuff. And then we got Steve Goodman on the line, which is awesome.
Yeah, Steve.
Hey, been a while.
Shall we
Apologize.
brace ourselves for the
It's
news?
been a while because you've been so busy trying to keep up with all the changes in the
Oh, yeah.
world over the last.
Yeah, if I wasn't bald, I definitely would be.
Well, you never had gray hair last time we saw you before
Oh,
COVID.
yeah, it wasn't as gray. It's definitely accelerated in the last 6 months for sure.
So what's happening? I mean, we obviously kind of, see what's on the news, but kind of give us, you're in it every day. You broker, I mean, you're in it a lot. You're also well connected. So in terms of the news, you're really well in tune. So
Yeah, it's like a daily thing, and of course we get alerts on our phones. Our batteries are dying on our phones because the alerts are coming in. It's like 1 minute, it's like flow, the next, literally 5 minutes later, it's lock. I sent a quick PDF, and it's just like the last 6 months, basically, in the mortgage bonds. You can just see how it just skyrocketed. Started in January and then just started crashing. On the retail side, it's been, every day, you never know. it is a big worry for real estate agents that are going through retail financing. In the sense that they want to make sure their loan officers have locked a loan when they go under a purchase agreement contract. Because the rates, we've seen people get bit where they did like a mutual agreement and then the borrower doesn't qualify anymore because the rates dramatically changed on them. So they went from like 4% to 5% type situation. And we've seen that in the last month, especially where rates just, we were looking at, all right, 3%'s gone, you know, going sub 3's gone. All right, now we're at 3, now we're at 3.5. And within like February timeframe, 4 became the new normal. And now for a lot of people, 5 is like people with good credit, pretty much 4, high 4s and 5s is the new normal. And Aladdis, we had a meeting yesterday and the new normal everyone was talking about was 7%. Is going to be the new, like, oh, you have great credit. Yeah, and this isn't even an investment properties situation. And it's, you know, we have people that want to buy down, and basically on the investor side of it, people like you want to buy 1 point type situation, or, you know, buy your rate down, and people want like 3 points. And when you have houses in some, you know, like Hawaii, Washington, California, when the houses are, you know, $700,000-800,000 on average, 2-3 points, that's insane.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with. Basically, every rate, all the investors that are out there that we buy from, and Guaranteed Rate owns City, or their Citywide's parent company, and Guaranteed Rate's one of the largest purchasers out there. And everyone we're looking at, yeah, they're wanting points. Everyone straight down the board. They're wanting points whenever there's any financing. So yeah, real estate agents, you're looking at going under contract, make sure the people doing the financing are locked when you sign that agreement, because we've seen people lose out.
When are they talking about going up to 7%?
7%. So on the retail side of it, because we had announced the Federal Reserve, they're looking at their last discussion is doing another, I think it was, I actually have some notes on it. Let's see. Yeah, they're not, we thought they would stop the rate hikes because of the problems that are going on and with the war in Ukraine. But the Fed announced they're still looking at the rate hikes going up. And if anything, because inflation's so high now, they're looking at the rate hikes going up another 8 times.
Wow. In what period of time?
2022.
Just this year.
Yeah.
There's only 8 months left in the year, so that's like one increase per month for the next.
That's why it's like you saw in the last week on that little graph. I mean, every day it's just been dropping and dropping. They've been breaking barriers of resistance, which normally you don't see happen to this degree. But we have between high inflation.
Hey, Steve, let me pause you right there, because what you said was really actually very insightful. But anybody who may be new to that, you're saying on one hand things are rising, but you just referred to drop, and we've never seen that. Can you articulate what's dropping and why that is so unusual?
Sure. On the graph that I sent, people can take a look at. Back in December, everything we see where mortgage bonds, securities are being sold, and they're being sold in the 105 range on it. And we see where the markets are, oh, there we go, perfect. We see where they're now dipping close to 100. So actually, yeah, now that we could zoom in, I need to get new glasses. So actually we're selling above 105. We're at the 106 range. So it's now we're close to 100. So people, large investors, they will move their money between different income sources. And a lot of times they'll be the stock market or mortgage bonds. Because of all the turmoil that has been going on, mortgage bonds are, people are not making the money they were making in the past in mortgage bonds. And our rates, so the interest rates that are out there, I was gonna say it's really, I don't want to get too technical. I'll make it actually simple on this one. Basically, the reason why interest rates are so high, and we've seen this huge downturn on the graph, is because of mortgage bonds and the income people are getting from them. part of the reasons why rates are crazy high right now, and they're going to stay that way, is our workforce. We have a huge workforce discrepancy. They just announced, I can actually get you the exact, I just always try to double check my news. Yeah, US economy growth is actually slowing down. These are the latest reports. Consumer sentiment. So it's like how they feel about our economy in general is at 11-year low. So it's one of the worst we've had. Inflation is high. It's interesting on job and unemployment, because right now they're saying we have fairly low job unemployment, which you think is good for the amount of workers out there. But the issue is a lot of the jobs that are open right now aren't for qualified people. And these could be people that were looking at, hey, I want to jump into that remote job issue. There's an article with Walmart looking to pay a 6-figure salary for truck drivers. So there's certain specific qualified or where you need licenses or to qualify for jobs that aren't being filled. And unfortunately, a lot of those are affecting the supply chain. And then we also have that other big thing going on right now is the war in Ukraine with Russia. So there's just all this as an economy, and people in investing, financing, you're lending out. There's just massive unsure situations going on. People are like, oh, we don't know how to run these scenarios. They thought the Fed was going to slow down on their rate hikes. And rates actually improved for a bit. Everyone was like, hey, the rates may go back. Let's have your loan ready to, do a refinance or pull some cash out to buy that investment property situation. And then the Fed came out and said, no, we're not, we're going to keep doing the rate hikes. And then they came out again 2 weeks later and said, we may be doing even more rate hikes than we thought. So, and then of course, Russia, Ukraine, that whole situation has the other countries that are affected more than the US. Like Africa, it's interesting, you look at some of the Africa, which makes a lot of money from Russia because of all their T cells. So it's like, well, Russia with the ruble being down, and then all these other countries saying, we don't want you doing any import or exporting with Russia right now. But, you have countries in Africa are like, well, how are we going to support, we need to bring this money and we need to sell all this tea. What are we going to do? So there's all those little import export ripples that a lot of the countries are scared. They're not sure how they're going to handle it.
Yeah.
So get with like I probably had about 20 deals in the last 2 months that all fell through because of the rates going up.
Oh my God.
Like, that's hard. In the Washington market, housing's still going. It's like people are still buying prices, and you still have houses increasing in value. With that happening and their interest rates going up, you have a lot of the middle class, even upper middle class, they can no longer afford a home in Washington. Even if they go to the boonies, they go, okay, we'll go farther out. Well, farther out, the houses are, too expensive now. So it's interesting to see how that dynamic's going to play out. Because we have a lot of investors, foreign investors that purchase homes in Washington. I know there's an email you guys sent out from Keikoa Capital on, doing the cash or delay purchase and, different situations. It is going to be interesting to see what happens here in Washington, with people. We had people flee Washington just as getting too expensive, and they're heading to Texas and Arizona. That may happen more, may not, or it may finally, people are like, hey, no one's going to buy this house. No one can afford to buy these, $1 million homes that went for 500,000, a couple of years ago situation. So the housing may start to dip here. I'm not sure how, others are saying that.
I think the challenge that the challenge that we've all continued to face since COVID is that supply has just always been low. And so supply still technically is low, which is why housing prices continue to go up. Like the house we live in, it was 900,000 brand new. It was worth $1.5 million going into 2020. It's now a $3 million
I was
house.
gonna say, yeah, that, yep.
This is Issaquah Highlands. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't a special place, and it's like, it's crazy. Like, we couldn't afford to, most people can't afford to rebuy the home they live in. Like, it's that crazy. So now I think what we're seeing is that with the supply continuing to still be low, there's still some buyers who are qualified enough to continue to make aggressive offers, which is still driving values up and really making it hard for those who can't get standard financing. I mean, there's probably the clients where those 20 deals fell apart. Those were ones who were very price sensitive. They had a certain budget for the down payment. They couldn't buy points down. So that was really like, they just could not do the deal. But there's a lot of people out there that have so much cash that they're like, oh, I got to put extra 3 points down to buy down the rate. Sure, why not? Like, I finally get a house, you know? And unfortunately, there's still so many of those types of buyers out there that I think until we run out of those buyers, then I think we're going to continue to just see the values go, because across the country, we're still watching values go up. Very rarely are you seeing price reductions these days. But what's ironic is that we're now starting to see more houses come on foreclosure. So it's a weird dichotomy, because we also have the most equity that America's seen. But yet still, I think some people got themselves in trouble because they got a little bit too comfortable during COVID, enjoyed those checks just a little bit too much, and it just didn't work out. But Steve, just a couple questions on contextually. So if rates go up to 7%, let's say even 6%, how does that look in the history of time since mortgages have been a thing? You know, like, how does that look in the big picture, big scheme of things?
I see it slowing down. Like you mentioned, the supply and demand. I see it slowing down construction.
Which was already down because of
Yep.
COVID. So
COVID, inflation. So when you're buying things to build and develop, it's going to cost more. I see us probably looking at this being a 3 to 5 year ripple as far as before things stable again. And I'm bringing that up in this. We have like down payment assistance programs. Many of them are gone. They don't have the same programs out there. And like you said, there's still demand. There's certain cities that have high inbound, you know, there's good jobs. There's a lot of people now with a good consistent job and they're wanting to buy a home. Where they're in a position where, like you said, they're gonna have to pay 3 points, or they're gonna have to, or they may have to wait it out. The market's too high. And with down payment assistance being gone, you're gonna have a huge portion of the population that is gonna have to go back to the olden days where you're putting a full 20% down. You won't be able to do that 3% down, 3.5% down situation. And you're gonna have to save. So, because they are saying it's likely pointing to a recession 2022 or 2023. So it's gonna take a while in general. The winners will be those who own, like people that own properties here in Washington. They built so much equity, so they end up having this, in a way, liquid cash. Those, I think we're at 80%, they were saying in Washington, of the houses purchased for previous owners.
Mhm.
So, you know, they took advantage of that equity and they're upgrading. And so the people, those people that are selling are doing the same thing. They're upgrading their home. The people that are buying their home are upgrading. So we're gonna have a huge influx of people that will not have the equity wealth that they would have had if they purchased sooner. So I think there's, like, I'm not able to foresee that high in the future, but there's going to be a large population growth that's going to have a good, probably 2 to 5 year, equity wealth gap compared to, those that were already homeowners.
So Steve, what strategies are you offering, right? Or not offering, but just even suggesting to some of your clients, for example, what are some strategies that maybe as investors we could be thinking about, in terms of if we needed a conventional loan, despite rising rates? What are some thoughts that you have as to what we could be doing actively in order to be able to respond well to this possibility?
So it would come down to the target group that, like, if I'm trying to develop or maximize, if I already own properties, I would look at properties where we can add ADUs, like Seattle just is releasing some of the regulations they had on there. So people are building homes in their back, they have large backyards and now building ADUs. People are, building up to the side, basically turning their one unit into multi-unit. So I would look as on the investment side, I would look at, especially if I'm buying in a city, and I mean, we do this research in general, but I look at, all right, I want to buy these homes, what can people afford type scenario. Like what's my target group that I want to sell to? Am I going high-end luxury? Am I going more middle class?
Yeah.
What's more out there? That would be my probably safety situation I would do that myself on high rates. It could be real easy for someone to over budget and you go to develop, like if you're investing in your first property and you go and you purchase and you have these great plans, but then the interest rates continue to go higher, and next thing you know, you can't afford to finish the project or finish the refurbish that you were doing.
The costs are going over budget.
Yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah.
So if it's going to hit 7, I mean, I had people that, we were at 3% in December, and now I go and price their scenarios and they're at 5.5. And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, we're running at 5.5 on all of our analysis these days, and that's pretty standard. Appraisals are going up like crazy as well. So that's pretty ridiculous. So my add to what Steve is saying is that I really highly feel that as interest rates goes up and housing becomes more uncertain, that multifamily investments are a solid place to go.
Definitely.
Corey, sorry, I keep talking.
No. I mean, I think it's such a unique situation that we have here. And when COVID first started, I totally underestimated the power of supply and demand. How could I, looking back? But because I thought there's no way we're gonna, ride this one out. They shut down tourism to Hawaii, and that's how we make money, right? As a state. So, businesses were shutting down. So to me, I was just brace for impact. But I was wrong, right? Because if you did look at the fundamentals and you just brought it all the way down to the supply and demand, Hawaii is just, the supply is so low and the demand is so high that the prices went up substantially. And then to top it off, the Fed had record low interest rates for a long time. And this environment we're in, this inflationary environment that we're in, is kind of the cause of we're getting whacked from two different sides. One is supply chain issues. There's major disruption, and that's causing a lot of inflation as well. And then also the Fed just pumping money into the system, right? So now we have an oversupply of money, and that was just put out there, which is why it shouldn't be really surprising that we're seeing inflation like this, in my opinion. So but I don't see what else they could have done at the time. Maybe they did put too much stimulus and had that out there way too long. But the moving forward, I think it's very important to keep in line with what's going on with the money, because it starts from there, and everybody else just has to react. So Steve, thank you so much for sharing. It's always great to get a good insight, especially from you, who's been in the business for a long time, seen a lot, and have a lot of experience through this. So, but what's your thoughts? Because I think this is kind of like a abnormal time as well for you, even though you've been in the business for a while. So where do you stack this in your career?
It's it's nature of the business. Doing this business in general can be very stressful and very chaotic and crazy. Your pipeline can change dramatically in what you want to focus on. So I guess it's just, the been there, did that, used to it, set up. I was talking with Matt in December. We need, start focusing on your pipeline, your business, where, the loans and where things are going to come into. And it was from, instead of refinance and, you know, saving people money and things of that nature, is like, all right, we need to target straight to real estate agents.
Yeah.
Real estate agents with purchases. So it's like, those are the leads that you want to focus on, is of that nature. And people doing cash outs to, doing a cash out for the purpose of, you know, debt consolidation. People are like, all right, we need to get rid of some of these debts, credit card interests are going up, things of that nature. So, you know, cash outs in that
Yeah.
situation. And then the interesting one is we still may see like more foreclosures coming in. People did enjoy COVID too much and they bought those brand new vehicles and trucks.
Big TVs.
Yeah, or, you know, yeah, their fifth wheel on their 6 ATVs. I mean, I've seen some crazy purchases here in Granite. I'm like, what job are they working now? That's,
Oh
you know, it's like,
no.
oh, well, you know, McDonald's is paying $20 an hour. I'm like, yeah, but let's look at your truck
Oh
payment.
no.
Situation. It's like, it doesn't, you know, your money's not going anywhere. It's like gas is $150 to fill up.
Yeah.
And then you go grocery shop, it's like, buddy, that hourly job is not going to cover that car expense. So it's, people are going to make mistakes and they will need to foreclose. They will end up going into too much debt. And so I think, like, real estate side, mine would be, you know, targeting people that are about to lose their home and they're not sure what to do. Is like, hey, let's sell, take advantage of that equity. Because there's people, it's shocking, there's people that are not aware of that. And they just end up, they think it's all political and it's because of this and Biden and the gas and different things. And so they blame losing their house. And it's like, no, you didn't have to lose your house.
Yeah.
There's things that have been done.
Yeah.
So it's, I could see that happening, but yeah, we'll probably have an interesting dynamic, I'd say, in about 6 months, either way, with people realizing how inflation will affect their whole life.
Yeah.
And those that can take advantage, you know, it sounds bad, but and those that can put themselves in a good spot to take advantage of it
Yeah.
and help people out at the same time.
Yeah. And I don't know if like the two sayings, these two sayings have ever been more true for both of them. Like cash is trash or cash is king, right? Like it's kind of, they're both kind of right now. Like if you're holding cash in a bank account with inflation levels like super high, like that's trash, you know, right? But if you have cash, you do have buying power. So you can, if you use the cash to go buy assets, then yeah, cash is king. So I guess it's how you use it.
Yeah.
Right. Money's a tool.
I mean,
So
yeah, and no, you're right on that. On the housing assets, I mean, have always been, for the most part, you know, a great investment versus other revenue sources. And I know a good friend from Kenya, and they're making great income, great, you know, money over there, but trying to bring everything over to the US, the currency exchange rate is just, you know, horrid. So it's like the US dollar is still really strong. You know, there's a lot of messages, a lot of things out there saying the US currency, the dollar is in, you know, China's gonna take us over with yen and all this stuff, but US dollar is still, it's still king.
yeah. And it's more,
So-
it's more than just an economic thing too, right? I mean, it's also military backed. There's more to it that determines who's the currency that everybody kind of follows, right? So yeah. So I agree with you. I mean, China, I feel is a threat, but in many different ways.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with that information, like as investors, right? What do we do with that information? Like we should all be very dangerous with information, whether it's to play defense or whether it's to play offense. You know, right now it's a little bit defense. Okay, let's try to set up ourselves in a position where that this can be an opportunity for all of us, right? So I think one thing to keep eyes on, because yes, interest rates going up is going to bring the demand down, or should bring the demand down. It should slow markets some way more than others. But also I think we do have to keep an eye on the foreclosures out there and the inventory that's been sitting just on the sidelines, right? Because it takes time for that to happen. It's only been 2 years since COVID, and then people probably they couldn't foreclose for over a year or or process these foreclosures. So you think about how slow it is already and how much backlog of inventory they might be sitting on. Nobody really knows. So I keep track of some of that data too, like, and try to pull from multiple sources to keep eyes on the inventory nationwide, because that could be a problem too. If that starts to just flood the market, now we have the demand that's going down because of high interest rates, and then we have a surge of supply that can disrupt markets for sure. So I think that's something that we have to keep eyes. I don't even know where the kind of foreclosure numbers are looking, or where they projected, but I have heard in certain markets, one in Alabama, that there's a big bulk of inventory about to hit the market. So over there. So that's great information to know ahead of time too, right? So we can position ourselves to be there. So that's what I'm talking about, is like, even in environments like this where it's kind of scary, uncertain, I still feel that wherever there's change or disruption, there's opportunity. So we gotta look at it a different way. Everyone's looking at it one way, right? Where, like, how do we survive this? We should be looking at it like, how do we take advantage of this? How do we position ourselves to be in the place at the right time, right? And not make it that so lucky, right? It's not luck. We kind of did set ourselves up to put ourselves in this position to take advantage of an opportunity like this. So it's hard to say that sometimes in crisis there is opportunity, because it sounds a bit predatory, but we have a duty to ourselves and the people who believe in us and invest with us, and to do that, right? To protect ourselves, and not only protect ourselves, but take advantage of any opportunity. It's a natural cycle of any economic system. So, Keiko, you got any input on the rising rates? Because you're having to deal with that too, right? With our clients.
No, everything Steve says is awesome. It's very insightful. Hadn't heard 7% yet, so thanks, Steve, for ruining our day. But that's fantastic.
Oh, I hear you. I know. Really? So we have to get everyone
No, actually,
to the new average.
no, I truly believe that the more people you talk to, the more that you can just gain bandwidth insights. And so I appreciate what you're seeing. In the course of history, Steve, when's the last time we saw interest rates hit like 7%? Do you recall?
Like we're in 2022, 2010.
It's been a
So
long
basically,
time, right?
the last
Maybe? Yeah.
kind of the last recession was kind of the last time we saw rates this high.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
the good news is that we all survived it. It was looking at retrospect at 2008 to 2010. We all wish we could go back, because we would be able to buy more, do more, And so I think we're sitting at the precipice of another, like Corey says, opportunity. It just sounds shocking when we were so spoiled at, yay, I locked for 2.9. I mean, that was only just months ago. We're not talking a lifetime ago. We're talking like literally just a couple months ago.
The good old days, way back in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
One dynamic, sorry, Kurt, and this may sound bad, like targeting to take advantage, but one thing is an interesting dynamic that I think will create more housing opportunities is seeing and experiencing, especially older or some of your smaller cities that have an older population, retired population, seeing more, heavy depression, mental issues, health issues, especially with COVID and a lot that's been going on, and seeing a lot of those where people are unfortunately passing away and the houses are just sitting there. And you're seeing a lot of family members that aren't even dealing with the properties. They're just leaving the properties there because maybe they were hoarders, extreme hoarding. Been seeing a lot of that. And I have a feeling just with, people are depressed, they're not happy. I have a feeling that's going to create some areas, especially where it may be more rampant with mental issues. I'm curious with Alabama, if that has an older population. I'm curious if that's having to fill some of the housing numbers or foreclosure numbers.
Yeah, I didn't look too into it, but I know a person. If anybody's in the Alabama market, I might have a lead source for you, specifically Birmingham. But yeah, I just kind of, I didn't really dig in too deep. But there seems to be like, there's going to be a need for buyers like ourselves, you know, and I think that the calls like this, like our coffee talk call, which was born, you know, through COVID, we started just because we want to have a collective insight of everybody, right? And we met people from across the nation, and now, you know, even in other countries on this call, and it kind of brings back a little bit of memories about 2 years ago when things were really uncertain, and you know, we just wanted to have people around this that we can, you know, put our arms around. You know, at the time, like, what do we do, guys? I don't know. What are you doing? What are you seeing? So this has been not just you know, exponentially beneficial for us, you know, business wise, but just collectively. I see the blessing in what was born, you know, through COVID, and that's just all of us that come on the calls and work together, do deals together, and help each other. So
Yeah.
I can't
Okay,
say
cool.
enough when I say thank you guys for always, you know, coming on Friday and giving us your time.
Like I'll bring up, and yeah, this has, you know, it's a blessing because of all the great things we learn and grow from, get educated on. I look back, you know, Kekoa mentioned 2010, like if we knew what we knew now, buying that house at 200,000 and, you know, it's going for 6 to 8 now, or starting to build your finances and wealth that way back then versus now. So it's like, now's the time for us to, yeah, be as scrappy as we can, to go, and you have the free time. What are you doing with that free time to go? And it's like, oh, I could be, you know, instead of twiddling my thumbs, doing nothing or watching more TV or something like that, it's like, hey, you know, I could go pick up a side job, or I could go do something to bring in more income so I can buy that property or buy that first property on it. It's like donating plasma here in Washington. People make like 700, I think it's like 6 to 8 hours a month of their time, and they make $750. So it's like a side thing, spends a little bit of your time. You could be listening.
Oh,
to
I didn't know they paid that much.
Yeah, $750. I was shocked too. I was like, you're making
Bro, no
what?
wonder you give blood all the time.
I was gonna say,
Right,
yeah.
bro. Man, that's how I gotta pay for my
And you
motorhome
get free,
gas now.
you get free brownies after, and you get paid.
Cookies, you get $700 pays 1 tank of my motorhome. I love it.
Right. I know, serious. Literally now, I mean, over here, I mean, I'm sure in Hawaii too, it's gas money easily.
Oh, dude.
Um,
Really gas.
So it's like, be scrappy, you know, especially since we know with the inflation, our money isn't going to go as far,
Yep.
you know, as it did. So,
I mean, that's the Kiyosaki, like that's the abundant mindset, right? Like Robert Kiyosaki says, it's like, it should never be, I can't afford that, or we can't afford that. It's how can we afford it, right? Let's get creative here. Like I just learned something. I'm a walking like cash flow. Like I'm walking cash flow. I can go get blood, give blood, and get money and brownies.
yeah, no, it's worth the
And save lives.
There's my sweetie, she notified me of an app called what is it? Uber Nanny.
Uber
And
Nanny.
it's Uber Nanny. It's big here in Washington. It's basically like people need a babysitter type situation. But it's anywhere, I think she's getting like $30 an hour. Just so she's like, hey, I'm free during these times. Yeah, sure, why not? Boom, $30 an hour. And you know, here in Microsoft, there's people that will pay like Monday through Friday all day. And it's like,
To watch their kids.
yeah. So I mean, it's, you know, there's these things out there that, yeah, I was like, I never heard of Uber Nanny. And then she's showing me, it's like, oh yeah, hey, I'm not doing anything Friday. I know you're, because I'm coaching Little League again. So it's like, I know you're gonna be coaching the kids. So I'm gonna go like take up this job and make some extra money. I was like, cool.
Is it through Uber,
That I don't know.
or they
Yeah,
just
just-
call themselves Uber Nanny?
Bring it up. Yeah, just bring it up on like the app store. I haven't looked, I just looked at it on her phone, but she's showing me all the jobs. I mean, she was literally, it's like, I'm gonna have free time doing these things. And she just picked up a new
Side hustle. That's
Land
awesome.
Rover.
A Land
So,
Rover
yeah.
for Uber Nanny. I love it.
Oh,
I know. Of course, it gets great. She didn't want to drive it from Seattle up to Granite. So I was like, all right. So I went and, I drove it from Seattle and I drove it up, and it was like 28 miles to the gallon. And I have a Trailblazer that I've been, it's a little more rough and tumble. And that thing gets me like 14 miles to the gallon. So I was like, gosh, she used like maybe 1 gallon of gas versus mine like 2 to 3.
Well, try asking Cole how much the Camaro is per gallon or per mile.
Oh,
What is it? What are you at, 10?
Dude, or if I can make 5 miles a gallon, I'm in a good shape, but
Especially when you drive.
we don't buy cars like that for gas mileage. But getting back to real estate really quick, because I
yeah,
know we're
sorry
at the top
about
of the hour. One of the things that I would just say to everybody that we've pivoted just slightly on in our analysis is don't be afraid of the rising interest rates. Absolutely, it's shocking. And 7%, 8%. Like somebody said, they remember a time when it was 12 to 16%. So it's been there. It could get back there, definitely. Does it mean we bail out of real estate? Absolutely not. It just simply means that old rule: the money is made in real estate on the buy side, on where you negotiate the purchase price. So just be real conservative. My recommendation, not telling anybody how to run your companies, but instead of just using today's interest rates in your analysis, because by the time you close, it's going to be 60 days from now, the rates will probably be higher. So just go ahead and bump up. If it's 5% today, put in your analysis 6%, worst case scenario, and then back into the offer number that makes sense. Because there's still deals out there to be had. And some of the best places to get those deals are exactly like Steve said, is the aging population that are over 70 who've owned assets for a long time, because many times they have very little debt, if no debt. And so their equity is so high that they have the ability to negotiate down. So if you're able to justify with a really clean analysis that, hey, because the interest rates are 7%, here, look at this sheet, and then look at my cost on cash analysis, I really need to actually offer you 100K less. I know that's shocking, but that's basically what it's going to be like in today's market. And any buyer who's going to come in to look at your property seller is going to face the same interest rate. So you'll want to probably do business with us because we're the coolest and we're the best. We're going to perform. We're going to close. I'll send you proof of funds. So unfortunately, it's got to be 100K less, but what we can close in 2 weeks because we use Keiko Capital or something like that. And then a seller will then more likely take that, and then you're in a good position because you're already budgeting an interest increase. So just a hint, it's been working for us. And I think that's the proactive way to still be very active in today's market is don't be afraid to make a ton of offers, and don't be afraid to make a low ball offer, because right now is not the time to be emotional. Right now is going to be all about numbers and making sure you pencil everything correctly. Didn't mean to be preaching. Hopefully that sounded more like guidance.
That was great.
Coaching, suggestion.
It was good.
Suggestion.
I had actually on this topic because of the rates. I don't even know how I missed this opportunity, but I have another listing. Can I share it real quick? Because it might help anyone who's on the development side. 3.3 acres in Honolulu. Well, Aiea, Wanalua Gardens. If you're not familiar, super prime location right by H1, like 3 miles from the airport, a mile from Tripler. It looks right up at Tripler. It's zoned R5. CPR is already approved. City already approved 8 dwellings, and sewer and water already permitted for the 8 dwellings. It is a steep slope. You have to terrace, you have to grade, you have to compact the soil. 2 existing houses are on the site right now. Those 2 existing dwellings eventually will need to be torn down to widen the driveway to do the remaining build. But while you wait for permits, they bring in, they're 5 rentals. So they bring in currently like 10,000 a month. Plus if you rent up the upstairs, probably around 1,300 per month, 13,000 per month. So just, a rare opportunity to have some offset holding costs while you develop, and the seller is willing to finance, owner financing. He just wants 50% down plus commissions.
Sweet. Hit up Ashley if you're interested in that deal. Ashley, throw your information in there again.
Okay, I will. It hasn't been on market yet. I haven't done any advertising on it yet. It's going to go live.
Off market, we like them.
But we're going to go live this
Coffee
weekend.
Talk special.
Coffee Talk special. If you acted 30 seconds, she's going live this weekend. I've got a couple of things too. Is last week I was sharing. Oh, go ahead.
It's listed at we're gonna go at 3.5 million. We were originally gonna list at 4 million, but just the way that the market was going, we decided to price really aggressive at 3.5 seller financing.
8
Okay, so
houses with 2 existing, yeah, okay.
someone was just asking, I didn't mean to cut you off. Kiko.
No, that's perfect. Those are good ones. Be sure to send out those Crouching Lion and that Kaava and the kind stuff, Bake specials. So I have a couple more, just follow up from last week. If anybody, a couple of you were sending us some deals, multifamilies across the country that love to take a look at those. So everything I was suggesting is stuff we're doing. So definitely multifamilies, looking for motels that have been shuttered down by COVID in good metropolitan markets across the country. So those would be awesome. Texas is a huge focus for me. I truly believe that despite the coming recession, Texas is going to fare fairly well in my perspective when I take a look at the nation. So we're trying to acquire and place a lot into Texas. So just like I shared earlier, we're targeting sellers who have owned properties for a long time and are over the age of 70. We have about 800 doors right now that we're negotiating on. And so because we are not wholesaling, Texas has a real huge wholesaling anti-deal. We're going to partially take them down. So if anybody's interested in doing a tenants in common with us, that means that you would be bringing your LLC, you would come in with a certain amount of money, and then the tenants in common would allow you to 1031 out your respective shares. So if you're interested in that, we're mostly looking at Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, and probably placing about 800 doors here in the next 60 days. So if anybody's interested in putting some money into an asset that you own, so you're not a private lender, you will be a co-owner in that, just hit me up. It's Keikoa at Keiko Capital or Keikoa at teamkeikoa.com. And then somebody's holding up their hand. Who's holding up their hand? So
Kalani.
Kalani.
Well, feel free to unmute Kalani if you can. We'd love to answer your question.
Sorry,
but-
I was just looking at the chat and I hit that by mistake.
Oh, okay, no worries. No worries.
Sorry about that. I was trying to get some info off of the chat.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh yeah, let me check the chat. Okay.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we do end the meeting, just so we can, make sure that we service you guys as best possible. Is there any other topics, something that you guys want us to feature, guest you want to feature, something that we can highlight so we can start planning the upcoming coffee talks to make sure we bring you the most value possible? So if you got anything, just throw it in the chat box. Let us know any ideas on guests, anyone you want to see, any service providers, whoever it may be. That way we can go out there and look and bring you guys what you want.
Yes, sir. Good one. All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a great weekend. And it's the first week, right, of Q2. So hopefully everyone's year is going good. You're hitting goals. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Hello, everybody. Let's go, fam.
Zasha, did you see the episode we did on Cindy